You're listening to episode 12 of the Healthy Dudes podcast.
Welcome to our podcast. That's Anthony. I'm Tyler.
And we're just a couple of dudes talking about healthy men stuff and accountability, and this is our intro.
Yeah. Join us on our journey, the lessons that we learned along the way, and maybe this will inspire you, get you moving in the right direction.
Welcome back to the show. We are doing number 12. We're
Incredible.
excited for it.
A dozen.
Yeah. We were getting a little bit weary. Well, I was. Tyler's like, no, we're doing this. We're doing this. We're pounding the rock.
Yes.
If you don't know what pounding the rock means, it means just like we're keeping on.
That's right. Toronto Raptors.
That's right.
We the North.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think some other basketball teams did it. But basically, it's like you keep on hitting the rock until
it breaks.
And we're going to keep on doing it.
Yeah.
Even though it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this week, we're talking about anxiety.
Yeah.
So we were actually talking about this, and we're like probably the two least qualified people to talk about anxiety.
Yep. Amen.
But we have some people that have had anxiety in our life.
Yep.
And I have also had spells of anxiety, and maybe you have.
Yeah, me
but
too.
You know what? This is just a good thing to talk about. But first, let's talk about our goals and stuff. We like to start the episode every week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wrap up the episode with our goal for the next week. We start the next episode with how we did. So my goal for this last week was to spend less time on my phone. So I've been watching my screen time.
Yeah.
I was pushing 3 hours. And so I was trying to reel that back to get underneath 2 hours. So
nice.
I looked it up. This past week, I was over 2 hours a day, every day, except last Wednesday. So I managed to sneak under 2 hours on a Wednesday. But I was never more than 3. So it's still good. But I'm still hovering between that 2 and 3 hour range.
Yeah, yeah.
So now I'm trying to figure out tactically what I need to do to get off my phone as much. Because it's funny, I've done my phone down so much, I don't have social media. So I'm like, what am I actually doing on my phone for 2.5 hours a day? You know,
right.
Email or text messages, phone calls. So it's something like this where I have like my notes out in front of me, or I'm taking notes on my phone. I think that's chewing up a ton of that screen time, which I think is okay, you know? Totally. So I might start looking at it kind of on an app by app type of basis, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's other things I'm looking at is like, I have this habit where I go to the washroom and like I'm on my phone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. For like no reason. But that up over the course of the day, that's probably a little while, you know? Oh man. And I'm trying to spend less time with the phone on while I'm driving, you know? Even on the motorbike, sometimes I'm going to somewhere and it's, I'll have the map up, but then the map is up on my phone like the entire time I'm driving. So working on that. So
that's
the other thing I'm happy to say is I passed my 30-day 1 month challenge.
Wow.
I was trying to track my calories. I was trying to be active for 30 minutes every day. So some days I wasn't active for the full 30 minutes, but I'm happy with where I got to on that. I did track my food well. I sent you all my stats.
Yeah.
So I was actually pretty happy with the calories. It was 2,200 calories on average a day. Protein was a little bit low though. So again, a couple tweaks I'm working on on the diet side. So
that's good. Yeah. It's an ongoing battle.
Yeah. How about you?
Talking about battles. Yeah. So I did pretty good. Mine was also tracking calories. Nice. And I did really well. I tracked it every single day. Amazing. Again, I have that coach that I was talking about, and he's looking into the things that I'm eating, and I am down now officially.
Come on.
What was it? 13.2 pounds.
Oh yeah, just round that up to 14.
Yeah, so I'm doing it. I thought I would be down a little bit more, but I shouldn't be discouraged about that. It's something that is an ongoing battle. But hey, like I was say, like, let's say I do this for 9 months and I do 5 pounds. I lost 5 pounds this month and a few pounds last month. Yeah. And let's say I do this for 9 months, I'm going to be hit my goal weight.
Amen.
You know?
Yeah,
so
totally.
Just gotta keep on doing it and not be discouraged and just keep pounding the rock, as they say. Yeah. So I'm doing really well. I've done 12 workouts. I just keep thinking back to the first few episodes of this podcast where I said, "Oh, nope, didn't do it again." And then this excuse and that excuse. And I still have excuses. I did miss one scheduled workout, and that was because I was moving somebody all day long, and we had something with our church the night before and the day after, right? And it was a big heavy day, so I decided not to work out, and that's okay. Yeah. Talking about your phone, that I find that I can also get like I'm just on my phone all the time. And I don't know if maybe that should be a goal of mine, but I have this thing where I'm in this generator room. I think I've spoke about it on the,
I think so.
Basically I just sit and watch a screen for 12 hours, but I can read a book. I can, go for a walk back and forth, which I've been doing, which is really great. Or I can, go watch a movie, but I find that I can, from when I wake up to when I get home, I'm just on my phone. Like even when I go to the bathroom in there, or when I'm walking, I'm on my phone. I'm on my phone the whole time. Right. Or I'll read a book. Yeah. You know what? That's like better, but I don't know if it is. I just can't shut my mind off. Right. Or I always am like inputting things into my mind, and
that's good.
Yeah, and just we're working through a small group right now. Yeah. About the book that we read, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
So good.
And it talked about like solitude and just like there's a difference between solitude and isolation, and a lot of the times that's something that I struggle with. Like I can't just like take a step back and just put myself in a state of solitude. I'm always just consuming something, being stimulated. So from the moment I wake up, I like plug my phone into my my car so I can listen to music or a podcast. Then I'm walking in from the parking lot to work, I'm listening to music. It's just I think in this world we can live in the world we can we can go our whole lives never experiencing loneliness because we were just always doing something. But truly I think we can be lonely. Anyways,
totally. That's so good, man.
That was really long-winded, but I'm hitting my goals. Nice. And maybe I should include another goal. I don't know.
All right.
Because I'm on a roll here. Yeah. Maybe I'll think about it through this episode.
Yeah, I like that.
Anyways.
So good.
Sorry.
How'd you do with accountability?
I did pretty good. Yeah, I'm doing good. I find that I'm doing better now when I'm like occupied. My time is occupied.
Right.
I've had my struggles on these apps and that I talked about last week. But I find that the only times that I'm really struggling is when I'm bored. And I know I have to be better when I'm bored because there's going to be a lot of times when I am bored.
Right.
So, but it has helped a lot just like having busy days.
Right. Yeah.
Which kind of goes against everything I just said.
There's a fine line there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Totally. Yeah. How about you?
I did good. I did struggle a little bit there on that one layover. Yeah. So with my company, I get some time to myself in a hotel. So I struggled there. But then I went back on a layover a couple days later, and I sent you the text ahead of time to check on me, and that did help a lot. So I also like played some music and just kind of like had a different mind space and went to the gym, and my whole approach to the day was quite a bit different than the first day, where like I didn't go to the gym. I went and met up with a buddy. We had a few beers, and then it was just more of a struggle. But because I went to my disciplines and got some music going, and I just found the day went quite a bit better. So I've been strong since then. So
good. We're definitely. I feel like I'm in just like a new gear right now in my life. So it's been good. Maybe it's the podcast that helps. Not sure. Okay.
I would say the gym helps. I'm really feeling satisfied from the working out. There's something about that. I worked out with Brie a couple days ago, my wife a couple days ago, and it was just awesome. Like after the gym, the walk out to the van. In this case, I usually sometimes bike and stuff, but the walk out to the van, I just feel like this like calmness and this ease that it's hard to describe. It's something that I just feel relaxed in a way that like TV and scrolling doesn't do. So,
do you feel like you've accomplished something during the day? Maybe that's why. I feel like I'm not like this lazy sloth. Yeah, I've done something.
Totally.
I'm not a piece of garbage.
Yeah, that's why I like to do them early, and then I feel good. Right. You worked out a couple hours ago. I worked out a couple hours ago, and now I feel good. Here we are.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So anxiety.
Sorry. I was gonna say I remember my cleanest streak ever. I remember it was like many months, and it was when I was actively working out.
Oh wow.
And it was when I was with other people working out, and I was like losing weight. Yeah. I felt like my whole life was just running really smoothly.
Nice.
And that was part of it. So I wasn't bored. I didn't have extra time. I had like some goals.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
I was doing really well then. So
nice.
Yeah, I think there might be a correlation there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Love it.
Cool. Sorry, segue.
No, it's good. Anxiety. Talking about anxiety today. So
yeah.
Started by the definition, according to Google. Anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome.
Yeah. The future.
So, yeah. Why do healthy dudes deal with anxiety?
Yeah. Well, I believe that healthy dudes I think everyone struggles with it a little bit. Like we said before, we're not the best people to be talking about it, but we're going to talk about it anyways. Yeah. So, I think that we need to learn how to deal with it because we're going to have a lot of loved ones that will rely on us. Maybe our kids are going to struggle with it. I don't know why, but it feels like way more people struggle with anxiety than ever before. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm not sure if it's just people are talking about it more now or if there's something systemic in our culture where it's more common.
Totally. And I think I think we're going to get into that where you think about it more. And it's more open. Like, and a lot of people used to just call it stress. Like, oh, I'm just stressed out. Yeah. But now it's like, oh, I'm having an anxiety attack, you know? Right. I know there was this one girl that I used to know. She was a little bit younger. She, I would ask her how her school was going and all the time, oh, I'm just anxious. I have anxiety. I have she almost she almost took pride in how anxious she was. Right. And she said, oh, I always have to go to the, quiet room, or I have too much anxiety to write this test. And I do believe that she did suffer from anxiety, but I feel like it was like I don't know if she was doing things to help herself. And she almost I remember when she got onto medication, she came up to me and she was like, hey, I'm on this medication. It was almost like a badge of honor for her. Interesting. And because anxiety is a very, a lot of people, I think it gets a lot of attention. And that's my worry. I know there are people who really do suffer from it. And I think that we have to help those people. But there are people that, definitely get the attention that they're looking for. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something there. I know we were talking about the busyness, and last episode we were talking about resting. Yeah. How hard it is to rest, but it's almost like a pride thing to be busy. Right. Where someone asks, hey, how you doing? Yeah. The filler question. And 99% of people say, yeah, good. Or how was your week? And most people would say, oh, it was good. It was just really busy.
Good, just busy.
But then if you say, oh, it was good, super chill and didn't have much going on. Yeah. It's almost what's the matter with you? What are you doing with your life? You better be moving, hustling, grizzling,
Yeah. Do you ever find that the people who say, oh, I'm just so busy, do they just have nothing going on? They're just spinning their wheels?
Sometimes. I wouldn't say all the time. I think there's people, ever heard that expression that you never ask, you always ask a busy person to do something, because a busy person is that guy or that gal who's a high performing, they're asked to do stuff because they're good at stuff, and that's why they're doing a million things. But the guy who's not doing anything, like a contractor who doesn't have any jobs lined up, he's just not a good contractor, so no one is using him unless
I see. I hear. Yeah, I hear you.
It's an expression.
I do find that there are people who have a self-importance when they say they're busy. Yeah. They have this attitude of I had such a busy weekend. Cool. You just did a lot of things.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. I just find that sometimes people have nothing going on.
Right.
Yeah. I could be wrong.
Yeah. We were reading anxiety can lead to a more serious mental health issue of an anxiety disorder. And the Mayo Clinic, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Again, we're not experts in this. The Mayo Clinic says that can lead to depression, and depression often occurs with anxiety. So the two are kind of correlated or linked. So I think dealing with anxiety might prevent you from moving further into an anxiety disorder or possibly depression. So I think it's one of those things, if you can tackle the anxiety, that avoids you having to tackle, a bigger issue further down the road. So
yeah.
Do you just struggle with anxiety, Anthony?
There are times where I do struggle. It's like, I feel like there are times when I don't have enough, and like financially I'm doing fine. Like I could obviously do better, but there are people who like really struggle and they're not worried about money.
Yeah.
And
right.
Like I'm doing all the right things. Like I don't have the nice cars or anything yet, but one day I will. And
absolutely.
I just feel like there's a lot of areas in my life where I feel like I could just be better and I could do better. And I think it could be like a good anxiety, like hey, you got to be better or a better dad. Sometimes I feel like I'm not the best dad, and that really is hard for me, because like the other day I spent a couple of days away from my daughter because I was working, and I came home and she's like kind of happy to see me, but she didn't even come say hi.
Oh, heartbreaking, man. Heartbreaking.
Or I remember I went to your house for a 1-year-old birth, or no, your kid was turning.
Yeah, he's 3.
It's okay. Whoops, whatever.
Yeah.
And I have 2 kids. I went to the room she was playing in, and she looked at me and she was like, "Oh, mama," and then she walked right past me looking for mom. I don't know what
Both
that is.
My kids are in love with mom.
Yeah,
mommyitis.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't worry too much about that, but yeah, I definitely.
Are you anxious about that, or would you say you're more like insecure about that?
Oh, yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm insecure. I do want her to have like the best dad, and I want to be the best dad, and sometimes I feel like I'm not enough. Yeah, maybe it's insecurity, but maybe those are rooted in the same.
I think they are.
Thing. Yeah.
We were just talking about I'm applying for a new position. I'm a little bit insecure about what I'll be doing. And I think that is driving some anxiety around. I was going to have to go in for an interview and give a presentation. I was starting to get some anxiety, about a future event, which is what this is talking about, right? But I think that anxiety, the source of that was just I wasn't secure in this new position because I've never done it before. So I think the two are correlated for sure.
But look, going into that, do you think that anybody who's ever applied for that position that you have has felt like, oh yeah, I got this? No way, man.
Well, I was telling you there was another position that I got into about 1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I never had that kind of anxiety about it. I just felt like it was just going to work. Like I just kind of had this innate feeling that I was going to do well in that position. I have done really well in that position. I think it's because I've spent more time. It's a training position. So I've spent more time receiving training in a simulator than I have in a classroom.
Right.
And so I could just kind of copy all the instructors.
Right. Okay.
Versus the classroom, the last couple of years we weren't meeting in the classroom and stuff. So it was like once a year instead of like 4 times a year. So, I don't have as much experience to draw from. So I think that's why I was more kind of insecure. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Because neither one I've facilitated before in any of my previous jobs. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also, struggle with anxiety a little bit. It's interesting. There's a book John Deloney just wrote that kind of triggered us to start thinking about this topic a little bit and talk about it here. I think it's called Building a Non-Anxious Life or something to that effect. We'll put it in the show notes if you have show notes. But it's kind of an interesting thing where I actually watched the Barbie movie with Brie. Great show.
Great movie.
But there's, Barbie, she goes to the real world or whatever, and she's walking around and she's discussing it with Ken, I think, and she said something to the effect of, I have this like fear about something, but I have no place to put it. Like there's nothing specific. I can't remember the exact quote. And then this lady walked by and she says, oh yeah, that's anxiety. Everybody has anxiety, And I'm like, that's funny because like I'm starting to notice now I have different triggers and different coping mechanisms where like after I'm an introvert, so after hanging out with people for a lot, I just need to come home and just sit on my iPad and, flip through social media or whatever. But that might be like a coping mechanism because I was very anxious for the past like 3 hours as I was interacting with people, Or like I've been noticing like, man, I just go to the fridge to like open it up to eat.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to think like, why is it I'm doing that? Is that out of habit or is there something I'm anxious about? And that's like a coping mechanism to like take care of that, So.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Working on that. I noticed it a little bit too when, we're getting out the door with the kids and stuff. I kind of get really, really worked up because I think I'm getting anxious about that next event that's coming, So little pieces in there. I'm trying to identify if like it's just something as a man, like I've been like just drop my shoulder and working my way through. But actually, when you dissect it a little bit, it's like, oh, maybe this is anxiety, and now I can deal with it for what it's worth.
100%. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I've only been late for work twice in the last 4 years. Pretty good.
That's not bad.
But some days I'm leaving later than usual, and I'm like, oh man, I'm so stressed out.
Yeah.
I gotta kind of like go faster. But it's like, even if I go 150 kilometers on the highway towards
3 minutes.
Yeah. It's gonna save me like what? Yeah, like probably 3 minutes. 2 minutes.
Like that. Yeah.
So, like, I just like the other day I was driving to work. I was really anxious, and I was like, I was just stressed. Maybe we just call it stress. But I just said whatever. Like I'm gonna get there when I get there.
That's good.
I'm probably not gonna be late because I haven't been late like at all.
Yeah.
So maybe I think we just got to work out through every situation.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
So some signs and symptoms of anxiety we looked up. A churning feeling in your stomach. You said you get that. I get that a little bit. Feeling lightheaded or dizzy. I've never struggled with that.
Yeah.
Pins and needles. I've never had that either. Feeling restless or unable to sit still. I definitely struggle with that. We talked about that last week on the rest episode where as soon as I sit down to rest, it's like, oh, I got something to do. You know, I got to go fix this or do that or check off this box or that one. Even right now, as I said that, I'm thinking about all these things I have to do. Give your brother a reference and different things. Anyways, faster breathing, headaches, backache, or other aches and pains. A fast thumping or irregular heartbeat. Yeah. Can't say I've ever had that, but
I've had that before.
I've had the sweating or hot flashes. Yeah.
There's one time I just have it in my notes here. I do take this medication from time to time. I was prescribed it a long time ago, but I thought it wasn't really working. But sometimes I take it to help me focus.
Yes,
I was diagnosed with like adult ADHD. It was but I don't think I really need it. But it does help like when I need focus. It's kind of like a boost.
Totally.
Actually, my doctor was like, that's kind of like baby cocaine.
Yeah. I remember that's how you started making the reels. Did you pop one of those, or you just like got 100 reels for the show in one night or something crazy?
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't be promoting that, but one of the side effects is anxiety, and when I take it, it's like the first few hours I'm like, oh man, this is amazing. I feel like a million bucks.
Yeah.
And then like 6 hours in, I'm like, I'm really, really stressed out. And I'm like, what am I stressed out about? And I have nothing to be stressed out about. And I have to think like, okay, there's nothing that's going on that I need to be stressed about, but I do stress out.
Yeah.
And it was like the Barbie movie, where I just had this anxious feeling.
Yeah, this feeling of fear with no place to place it.
Oh man.
I've had to tell all my boys that, I say, hey, you're safe, you're secure, you can calm down. And now I start telling myself that too every once in a while. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, for me, I think the anxiety comes through as more like overthinking. So I start like building out this scenario, and then if this happens, then this, and then this, and then this, and then I play back. Okay, so then if this happens, then I'll this and this and this and this, and I try to like think through all these and really overthink it.
Yeah,
inability to move past something. So it's like, particularly if I like mess something up or I think I messed something up, I'm like really I hang on to that a lot, so kind of rerun that in my head a bit.
Yeah.
And then the one this might be a coping mechanism is what I call like nervous cleaning. So I get anxious about my parents coming down and I'm like, they got to see that we have it all together. So I got to get this house perfectly clean before they show up, you know? So there's some anxiety there, and it kind of manifests itself in that like clean and whatever,
So true.
Even though it's just funny the way, your mind works.
So what are some actionable strategies that individuals can use to cope with their anxiety?
Yeah, we're not experts, so we just Googled this too. But learning about anxiety, I think helps, like reading books like the Dr. John Deloney one. Mindfulness is helpful, apparently. I've tried to practice that a few times, but one thing I do is yoga, and I find that actually helps because it just gets you off your phone. And I use yoga with Adrian, her YouTube channel, fantastic. And Brie and I sometimes do it together. So that's a relaxation technique, correct breathing techniques. There's that box breathing, right? Where you take a deep breath in, hold it for a period of time, breathe out, and then breathe in. And you just do that over and over again. And it kind of resets your nervous system. It's like a Navy SEAL thing.
Yeah.
According to Instagram, it is. So yeah, that happens. Dietary adjustments.
Yeah.
Do you find coffee? You drink coffee, right?
Yeah.
Do you find coffee increases your anxiety?
It does. Yeah. It's like that medication that I take. It's basically what I take is like a lot of coffees.
Yeah. Right. That's awesome.
I used to work with this guy who would we go to 7-Eleven and he would get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And it was just a cup. You bought the cup so you could put whatever you want in it.
Yeah.
So he would just put like espresso shots in it.
Oh,
and he would have 16 espressos.
Nice.
And it was like 35 cups of coffee.
Yeah, wow.
In one
That's
cup.
wild.
And he was just like, I don't know any difference.
Yeah. Wow.
But he was fine. Like,
I flew the guy did a triple diesel. It was 3 espresso shots, 3 creams, and 3 sugars. Not nearly as crazy as your guy.
Oh,
also
nasty.
a lot of fat in that. Yeah.
I will say
he's a CrossFit guy. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So he's probably got it all together.
Yeah.
I will say there is a bunch of things that do help with anxiety. My wife, she does suffer from anxiety quite a bit. She goes through this thing. It's called episodic anxiety, where something will trigger it, and she will go through like 3 months of just like deep anxiety and depression, and it's horrible. But her doctors were saying that it's kind of like a pie. So a lot of people say like, breathing is going to help you, or exercise, or eating more protein, or I don't know what else.
Learning to be assertive, building self-esteem.
Sure, all these things. But it's like it's all a piece of a pie, and you have to do all those things to really help yourself get out of it.
Right.
And it's not that you're going to just not be anxious after doing these things, but it's going to help you get out of it. But if you don't do any of those things,
right,
you're not going to get out of it. And that's when like the medication comes in, and I don't know if medication helps, but it's helped my wife. And that's just like a piece of the pie to helping her.
Gotcha.
So
gotcha.
If I knew someone that needed help, I would just say like doing these things, like you actually have to do it.
Yeah. Right.
And it's hard when you're in like those low places. It's like, you know what you have to do. It's like exercising. It's like, I know exactly what I need to do to lose weight.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I need to do to like, build muscle, lose fat. Every fat person knows how to lose weight, but they don't do it,
Yeah.
And myself included. But if you do it, you're going to have some success.
Yeah, totally.
You're going to get that ball rolling. So I think anxiety can definitely, it also fits under there as well.
That's good.
So yeah. So if your friends and family have anxiety, how do you help?
Yeah, that's good. Great question. So, one person that comes to mind is a family member. I'm not sure if they listen to the podcast, and I don't want to use names anyways, but there's a family member who, struggles with anxiety would be one of the things. And it's, I'm not a doctor or professional or anything like that, but and she is seeking therapy, which is great. I'm really happy for her, and I hope she gets the support and everything that she needs. But you're trying to figure out your role in that, where it's like how to best be supportive. So some things I looked up was like reading about personal stories of anxiety can help too. So that kind of just helps you get a little more context when somebody like a family member or friend comes to you and says, hey, I might be struggling with this anxiety. Then you kind of have a little bit of an idea of kind of what that might look like. But also just asking about their experience. So just asking, in my case, my family member, what are you experiencing? And what does that feel like, And I guess in a way like kind of affirming that, or like acknowledging that, because I mean that's their testimony, that's their experience. You can't deny that, right? Like that's legitimately how they're feeling, right? Like, and you could ask them how anxiety affects their day-to-day life,
right?
And what makes it better or worse, So some days maybe they're not dealing with anxiety as much, or struggling with anxiety as much. So then, what was it about that day that made it go better? Did you like sleep better, or was it the diet or the exercise, or you saw your therapist, or kind of what was it, So that can help if you, maybe you're doing a family event, instead of, organizing it for 8 a.m, and they live 2 hours away. Well, now they have to wake up early. It disrupts their rest. If you could do something a little bit later in the day, that might work with them. that could maybe help them out. And then just listen to how they experience things, and could help you to empathize with how they feel. Empathize with how they feel. So
yeah, I find that, like, because my wife has like really suffered from it, so I've seen. We talked about like hypochondriacs at the beginning, or like before we shot the episode, and I know some people who like are straight up hypochondriacs. There's one person in particular that I can think of, and it's like I can't like they put themselves in these places. Yeah, I feel like there are people who do suffer from this.
Yeah, but absolutely.
But there are people who like make themselves suffer from it.
Yeah.
And it's because they talk themselves into disease, and they talk themselves into sickness.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those people, I think that you might need some help for sure. But I have experienced it with my wife, and I find that you can't really, you can do things for them, but you can't try to fix them.
That's good.
And you just kind of, I think the best is when I just listened, and when I first heard of anxiety, my family hasn't really suffered from it. But when I first heard of it, I thought it was a way for people to get attention. And there are people out there that do use it for attention. Sure. But when my wife was going through it, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like totally like real.
Yeah.
And she even lost, like, she's quite thin. And she lost like 30 pounds.
Yeah. And
I remember looking at pictures a few years ago when she was going through these episodes, and she looked sick, like a skeleton.
Wow.
It was really hard to watch, but it's frustrating for me because it's like there's nothing wrong right now. I remember last year we were flying with our baby home from Toronto, and it was a really hard trip for us because our baby wasn't really in a sleeping pattern, so she was awake all night, which doesn't help.
Yeah. And
we just went home early, and we were on this plane, and before we even boarded the flight, she was just an anxious mess. Like she's like, she's not going to sleep through the flight, and it's going to be a horrible flight, and it ended up being absolutely fine. She slept almost the whole way.
Wow.
And she was just a perfect little baby. And it's frustrating. It really is so frustrating for me because it's like there's nothing wrong. And if we go through all of our anxious moments, there usually isn't anything wrong. We're worried about something that we're making up in our head.
Right.
And that's usually what anxiety is. But it is a real emotion that they're going through, and we have to accept it and say like, hey, let's work through this.
Yeah.
And like, I appreciate what you're saying, and don't like diminish what they're saying, but I find that not trying to fix them is probably the best thing.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think there's like I know I've studied a stress performance curve, and it's like this idea that like if you don't have any stress, your performance actually is quite low. So like you think about like students in a school, if you don't have a deadline for a project, once you see that deadline, that does give you a little bit of stress knowing that that's coming up, but that's what kind of gets you motivated to basically perform, right? But then like, so as the stress goes up, the performance goes up, but then there comes a point where like the stress gets so high that now the performance starts to go down because now you're task saturated and you're stressed to the point where you're not able to perform as well.
Right.
So yeah, I think maybe if you think about that in terms of anxiety, I'm not a professional again, but you know, I think like say for me for an interview, there's a certain amount of anxiety there that would probably be normal for like anybody. And I think everybody, like depending on your experience and whatever, your levels of anxiety are different levels.
Yeah.
And then how you manage that, you know, comes through. But yeah, someone who maybe struggles with it quite a bit, they fall into that backside of the curve where that anxiety starts to become like inhibitive, I guess, or like difficult to handle.
I can see that, yeah.
And I like what you say about not trying to fix people. And I too sometimes get frustrated because it, you know, something that might set off that family member and make them quite anxious is something that I wouldn't get anxious about, you know. Right. But or like sometimes I fall into that trap where I think, hey, man, is this person like making this up because this isn't that big of a deal. But I would rather, you know, it's kind of like that saying in the States, you know, because they have the burden of proof that's so high on like life sentences and stuff like this, where like they would rather 9 guilty people walk than 1 innocent person go to jail. You know, that's kind of like the premise of it. And so I would rather like, you know, 3 people or 4 people who, you know, maybe they were exaggerating things or trying to get attention, like you said, or something like that. I'd rather, we give them the help that they maybe didn't need than like that one person who's legitimately struggling with anxiety doesn't get help, so.
Yeah.
If I had to err on one side or the other,
For sure. Yeah. I think one thing that I've noticed that has helped my wife and a lot of other people is helping other people.
Oh, like, that's so good.
When you're anxious, this world and the society that we live in, and for myself included, we can say, hey, like, focus on you. You do you, and like do what's best for you.
Right.
And I really feel like that will hurt us because we make the whole world about ourselves.
Yeah.
And then, but actually what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to help others, volunteering.
Yeah.
Helping your neighbor, your family.
Yeah.
And when you do that, your world becomes a little bit smaller, and then their world becomes a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
I really think that is a key to getting through anxiety because you don't just focus on yourself all the time.
That's good.
And,
it's good perspective. Yeah.
It's just like nobody really does that anymore. Nobody really helps out anymore. It's sad. Like so we try to volunteer a lot, and I think just like, well, we go to church, but you can volunteer any way you want. But that has like helped us tremendously. It's big just time. Like, hey, we have to do these things to help these people, and we enjoy it, and it's fun. It's
turn yourself outward for sure.
Yeah.
And I had that where, back in the day, I would be quite keen on like some of these positions that now I'm interviewing for and stuff like that. I would be like kind of aggressively pursuing those, but then like I shifted my attention to like volunteering and helping other people.
Yeah.
And worrying less about like my own career and needs and that this, that, or the next thing to some extent. And and then it's something funny about it, but like I ended up with that stuff anyways,
Yeah. So it all works out for you. You know, it's all going to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Anyways, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
What are your goals for the week? For me, it's going to be the tracking the calories and going to the gym.
Yeah, that's good.
I do want to like add some solitude in there. Maybe just like some quiet time.
Nice. Time
where I'm not doing anything and just like shutting things off.
Nice.
And I don't know why I was doing that, but I was rubbing my shoulder. I think I want to focus on that. And I do want to just like keep going with what's been working. But I want to have some solitude this week and some quiet time.
Nice.
No phone, not even walking.
Nice.
I find that like even walking sometimes can just like distract me. So
nice.
I'm just gonna have some quiet time.
That's good, man.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to carry on. I'm trying. I've been doing this like I want to be active for 30 minutes a day, and it was like yoga or walking or pickleball or whatever. But I'm actually just trying to like lift weight more. So I got to the gym today. Last week I got to the gym 4 times, which was great.
Amazing.
And I'm going into my work, and they have a gym there. So I got in this afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, hopefully Thursday afternoon. So So I'm trying to be more targeted with the physical activity that I'm doing every day. So.
That's great.
And then keep working on the phone thing. So cool. I tried today the solitude thing as well on the drive back from work. So I had my phone on the back seat, so that wasn't distracting at all. And I didn't have the radio on, and it was just me in the open highway. So it was good. So
nice.
It's the watch though too. So the smartwatch sometimes it'll go off and it gets distracted, which obviously isn't safe, but also interrupts the solitude. So I might have to throw that on the back seat as well.
Can't you just put it on silent?
Yeah, do not disturb. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah. I'll work on it. But
cool.
A couple things I'm working on.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Share it with someone that that could use some healthiness in their life. Yeah. We're not experts, but we're trying.
Yeah.
This is our journey to health,
that's right.
Healthiness, and we are. I feel like we're making a little bit of a dent.
Yeah.
Even though it's been only 12 weeks.
We're working on it.
Hey.
Yeah.
It's all good.
So good. And if there's some topic or something like that you're interested in, drop that in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
Like us, subscribe. We're on all the social medias.
Yeah.
The TikTok.
Kinda, yeah. We're
the Instagram.
Yeah. That's a lot of work, but we're working on that as well.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Episode 12. 12 is out and 13 is next.
Peace.
See ya. I don't know why I said that. That's so stupid.